people go through what they go through to become who they are today. But is that who you want to be tomorrow? Is this the best? Because if you're saying that this is the best, and you're saying you have no room to grow, then you're lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Because God got more.
Always, yeah. You could be here today and then life just flips. What's good, my beautiful people? I said, what's good, my beautiful people? I said, what's good, my beautiful people? How are you guys doing today? Welcome back to my channel. You guys are wondering, who is this sitting to my left? This is a good friend of mine. We've been friends for a long time. We've been working together for a while. And today, I wanted to talk about a topic about stress. And I said, maybe let me invite someone on the channel. You guys maybe would want someone else's perspective on a topic just other than mine. So not further ado, this is my brother right here, Martini. Introduce yourself.
What's happening? What's happening?
How you guys doing?
Yeah, my name is Martini, and when my brother here came to me with this topic, I know quite a bit about stress. I know quite a bit about how to deal with it. I know that there's multiple types, but where you want to start?
Well, I would love to start. What is stressing to you?
Originally, I thought that, stressing was when your anxiety was high and you're in like some kind of panic mode or something along those lines, and something visible. But I've also learned that there's an invisible stress that can also affect you. It's kind of like that, kind of a silent killer type,
Gotcha.
So yeah, it can affect you in multiple ways.
Yeah.
That's not so obvious.
Yeah. Well, my meaning of stress is like when basically you've been doing something for so long and you just out of nowhere just start letting it take over your mind or whatever you're doing, and it's getting you out of character, and it's just having you on edge about a lot of stuff, But like you said, there's more versions of stress, and I brought him here today because, he knows a little more about topics than I do. So take it away. Like you were speaking about the other topic, ways of stressing.
What I've learned is that you do have that overt stress, that outside stress that you can see, that you can feel, you can hear, when people, it could be in their voice, a certain level of excitement that's not necessarily a positive excitement, just like, something of a high alert, not necessarily negative all the time. I mean, there's good stress and there's bad stress, so the bad stress is, there's more than one. There's the bad stress of, people visibly suffering on some, okay, I got a headache and I got bills to pay, I got this going on, or there's an emergency and, we need to handle this ASAP. Yeah. And then there's the silent stresses, or I guess a silent way of handling that stress is not necessarily a good way to handle stress. And with my situation, I found myself developing Bell's palsy in the process. And according to my doctors, there was like, they said that nobody really knows what causes Bell's palsy, but a lot of times they just narrow it down to stress, because usually through discussing it with the patients, they find that there's usually a high level of stress involved in some way, shape or form around the time of the development of Bell's palsy. And considering that there's no 100% accuracy on the cause, there's no 100% accuracy on the treatment from what I've read up to about a year ago, I guess. I haven't really done any research in that time since, but I've also found that there's an actor. He's been in a Marvel film, just you know, but you'd be able to look it up. Josh Brolin,
Okay.
he said that he also had Bell's palsy, and he found that a few years ago it affected him, and he was in a stressful moment, and then everything was fine, and then recently he had a little bit of a stressful moment that caused it to flare up again, to come up and affect him again. And it's understandable because for people who don't know, I didn't explain yet, but for people who don't know, what Bell's palsy does is that it paralyzes your face. It's facial paralysis. That's what it is. And in the process of having that paralysis, it could be your whole face, it could be a part of your face. You know, in my case, it was half, and it was the left side. And ever since then, for about 2 weeks, I couldn't move anything, and I actually couldn't close my eye or anything of that nature. So I would have to manually close my eye, and when it was time to go to sleep, and I would have to use eye drops and things like that. It was a challenge to deal with, even eating. But ever since, my face hasn't been the same.
Oh, wow.
So I would still, even like currently right now as we're speaking, I'm having spasms here and there, and a lot of like that's how it started with me. One night I'm going to sleep and I'm feeling a lot of spasms in my face, but on one side. And then I was like, maybe I'll just go to sleep, you know. And then the next morning when I'm getting up, I didn't realize I couldn't feel the side of my face. So I laugh about it, but I'm brushing my teeth and I'm spitting early, you know. So I was kind of shocked, but more curious about my situation. So I didn't necessarily panic about it. And I was on my way to work. And it was still like, I still felt some spasms here and there, but first thought in my mind was stroke, you know, and I said, well, I don't feel anything in the rest of my body, but just my face. Well, opposite, really. I didn't feel anything in my face, but I felt the rest of my body. I just wasn't noticing a difference. And I was me being a workaholic. I just was saying, I'll deal with it later.
Yeah.
And
one thing about him, this guy works all the time. Through whatever, and that's why I look up to him. It's just he doesn't let nothing stop him. If he put his mind in something, he's gonna go get it until he has everything that he wanted from whatever it was he was chasing.
Now, granted, it's not really something to brag about, but you know,
I would say it is.
It's all about. I've been more about self-care, so I've been doing my best to cut back on the workaholic status. So it's been a while since I held more than one job. So you know, I cut back on that. I cut back on that for my health purposes, but at the time when I was being affected by Bell's palsy, I was working at Amazon at the time, and it wasn't the job itself that was the issue. It was my concerns with the bills and what my next move is going to be, and what am I doing, and how I'm still going to, you know, create a foothold where I'm at. I just recently, at that time, I had it's been less than a year since I moved here. And just trying to get settled at the same time as play catch up with the new situation. You know. So yeah, I dealt with that. Luckily, before I got the job
where we are now.
And then, but even though I was working, you know, 3 times as hard after that. So not that I learned my lesson or anything.
Well, I had a question for you, man. Can you explain to the people, well, my family, and we don't call them people, we're family on this channel. Could you tell us about a situation where you stressed and you didn't see no light at the end of the tunnel? And what were some of the steps that you went through to let yourself know that it was okay? You know, like you was going to make it through? And maybe you could share some tips for the people, for my family out there, for whenever they're going through tough times in their lives, what some of the little techniques and things what they can do. Because we already know God is the number one. You know, you can talk to him about anything, and he's going to sit and listen. There's never no time restraint from you talking to him. He'll talk to you for 24 hours if that's what you want to do. But I would love to hear your perspective on like a time you stressed to the point where you didn't think you was going to make it out of that situation, and some tips and tricks that you could give the family on how to, you know, to not worry so much or worry about their situation so much.
Well, I got a lot of those.
Hey, we got time.
There's a lot of those, but
pick maybe your best three or not. Yeah.
Well, I'd want to start by saying that faith is very powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even people who say are atheists or whatever the case is, they believe in something. They do it because there's a communication that goes on through your thoughts. You got some people that aren't necessarily religious, but they're spiritual and such, or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of understanding that for as many differences that exist, there are at least 10 times as many similarities. And I say that in that you have people that like to talk about law of attraction.
Yeah.
And they talk about karma. And I just like to tell people that they're the same thing.
Yeah.
I also like to tell people that they go hand in hand with prayer. Same thing. Considering the amount of energy you're putting out, the thoughts you're putting out, the prayer that you're putting out, there's going to be something that comes back to you from there.
Yeah.
So there's a song by the Rolling Stones saying you can't always get what you want,
Yeah.
but if you try sometimes,
Yeah.
you just might find you get what you need.
Yeah. That's some of the words God would tell
And
you
that's
too.
pretty much how I feel God operates. Aside from it's also said, it's like God's not going to give you what you want, but He'll give you what you need.
Yeah, yeah. And then I feel like a lot of times people misconstrue like their wants now, once they develop that real relationship with God, then wants that they've been wanting before they grew closer with Him, they're no longer going to want them due to the fact that that's not really what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but of course it depends
Yeah.
on what it is, because sometimes the wants may align with what they need.
Yeah, yeah,
And the
yeah.
idea is to aim for what you need, and in the process you most likely can get what you want. So it's one thing people are not, I guess, paying attention to is that it's more of a mental game than anything. Your understanding with life and how it compares to what you read in your books, in your Bible, your Torah, whatever book it is that you read. It's important to aim for the positives, because the yin and yang, there has to be a balance for, there's an equal opposite at all times, and it's by design. It is always that way. There's a positive, there's a negative. There's always going to be that. So you have to accept and embrace the negativity to appreciate the positivity.
Say it again. I think they didn't hear you. Say it a little louder for them.
You got to accept and embrace the negativity to appreciate the positivity.
Amen.
And this is where gratitude comes into play.
Yeah.
Because gratitude is more powerful than people give it credit for. And this kind of rolls into another subject that you want to talk about, which is being content. If you're content with where you are in life,
Yeah.
and how everything is going in life,
Yeah.
then there's a good chance that you're not going to be growing as much as you possibly can. So if there's no real chaos, if there's no, there's no real growth from there, because you're not learning anything. And last I checked, which has been a while, I haven't gotten to that in reading, but
Yeah.
I know that if it's not in the Bible, I learned this when I was in Catholic school, that it was said that for a lack of knowledge, people shall perish.
Yeah, it's in there.
So it's not just about education in school; it's about learning in life also.
Yeah.
You know, so you touch a hot stove, you learn it's hot.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and you're not going to touch it no more. So because it's harmful to you. So the idea is to reduce your contact with the things that harm you.
Yeah.
You know, it's not impossible to reduce them, but it is impossible to avoid them altogether, considering that would help you grow as
Yeah.
you know, because a lot of things are not in your control to that level
Yeah, that's why
to
they
where you can go
always
every day
say-
without hitting nothing. So if you're a non-smoker, but you work around smokers, it's impossible for you to go a single day without being around a single smoker if everybody at your job
Yeah.
smokes.
That's why
You know what I mean?
one of the scriptures. I don't quote me on exactly word for word, but lean not on our own understanding. It's just powerful. I use that every day. You know what I'm saying? Because the flesh, and from what I've read and what I've experienced with my walk with Christ, the flesh is always going to let you down. Always. You know, and just knowing God is there to guide you in every situation, and I mean every situation. He will never leave you astray. It's really have helped me, because it'd be times where I'm at home, I done everything what God has told me to do for today, and even some of the things that He allowed me to do, right? I've had a wonderful, terrific day. The minute I lay down, after I showered and stuff like that, ate, and it's time to just rejoice and, you know, just be in the comfort of God, I'm watching television or whatever it is. And that flesh is just trying to get me to continue to do things that I did in my old life. So I have to physically get myself up and go out my home or whatever the case may be, so I can literally kill the flesh. Because what I learned is you can't fight the flesh. You can't. Sitting there trying to fight it is going to win every time. You have to get up and disassociate yourself in the situation that you were in, because the flesh is like, whoa, I don't remember doing this. You know, like you're like not following what the flesh wants. In other words, I can't really try to say what I wanted to, but
Temptation. pretty
there
much.
you go.
Trying to
There you go.
avoid
Moving
temptation
away.
or try to, you know,
Yeah.
push yourself away from temptation.
Yeah.
And you know, it's
You
like
having to get up.
part of the Our Father prayer is, you know, lead us not into temptation.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
deliver us from evil. And yes, so, but to really answer the question, there was a time, one of the times that I found I was in a situation I couldn't get out of. It was about, I don't know, about 10 years ago. Yeah, just about 10 years ago, I was in the middle of dealing with some things with a certain individual. And it was a business move, a little business venture, and things went south. So because things went south, the thought process I had about it was, I need to accept my losses and know that I am capable of recovering from this. And in the process of me thinking about it, I understood that a few years prior, about 2 years prior, I would say, I made a decision because I made a decision to do better, regardless of the situation. And I used to have a very negative mindset when I was growing up. I used to think negatively. I used to, you know, I've done some things that were,
We all have.
you know, on a drastic level.
Yeah.
You know, nothing towards anyone else, but more towards myself. I was dealing with a lot of self-hatred. And in the process of dealing with that, I got to a point where I decided to do the opposite. You know, because I said to myself, well, why not? I spent all this time doing this, and this, and you know, the karma of my actions was the negative situation I was in.
I got one question for
Go
you.
ahead.
What
Yeah.
was the actual thing that made you get up and wanted to change for yourself? What, you know what I'm saying? Like, what was the actual feeling that made you want to get up and remove yourself from the situation you were in? You know, because some people, we can say, you know, actions speak louder than words. We can always say, oh, this and that, et cetera, et cetera. But without the actions of us really getting up and disassociating ourselves and moving out of the situation we was in, it's just, you know, pointless. See, because like with me was, in my life, like, I was just trying to do this life thing alone, you know? God had been always tapping me on my shoulder to let me know, son, I'm here. Let me help you. I got the answers for you. You're not gonna keep trying to live this life long because you're just gonna keep falling. And it took me to the point of literally losing everything, financially, emotionally, physically, losing everything. And got on my knees and I prayed, and here I am today, you know? But like, not to steal the floor again, but you know,
No.
to answer the question.
In what you were saying, also, there were moments where I was purposely steering myself into a brick wall. And it's semi-literally, semi-figuratively. And the plan that I had didn't pan out a number of times.
Okay.
And because it didn't pan out a number of times, I understood, okay, there has to be a reason why
Yeah.
it wasn't panning out. So I decided at that point, I said, okay, I'm gonna stop doing this and just move towards that. And by that, I mean, I'm gonna stop aiming for this brick wall
Yeah.
and stop pushing towards that, or stop aiming for that cliff or for that
Yeah.
bridge, you know,
Yeah.
that, you
'Cause
know,
it's just
stop
gonna
doing that.
Can't go past, you know? You're just gonna
And-
fall off the
Well,
edge.
and which was the intent.
Yeah.
You know, that was the intent.
Mm.
And that ever since then, and that was about 18, almost 20 years ago. And that was around the time I decided. I said, you know what, because people also got to understand it's a decision that you make. You know, because remember, we got free will.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you have to decide if you're going to walk this path
Yeah.
or walk that path. You know,
trust me, I know.
And there was a moment of me, because I just wanted the easy way out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, there
Don't we
was
all?
challenges that I was having, and you know, it was a mental pressure in the sense of not feeling accepted, the feeling of not feeling accomplished or good at anything, or whatever the case is.
I
So,
can relate 100%.
dealing with not knowing if there was any actual skills that were worth anything, considering my surroundings. Now, I mean, pretty much I could say that I was looking for validation,
Yeah.
and it was nowhere to be found. But I was looking for validation in the things that I valued versus what other people valued. And what I valued was simple things. You know? At the time, it was just little things that I was doing that I felt like, okay, you know what, I'm putting all this effort in, and you know, I'm watching other people gain more accolades than or you know, some kind of recognition, and I wasn't getting it. You know, not even a little bit. I didn't want the top #1 spot or whatever. I just wanted some acknowledgement. The little bit that I got just didn't seem to equate to what I was looking for. Even though I didn't want the top spot, I felt like I was still being ignored.
Yeah.
And I understand that a lot of people go through that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I always said to get by, just to hasten, or not hasten, but postpone, I would say, my destructive actions, was that everybody goes through it. You know, I'm not the only one. There's people out there who have it worse than I do. And with that mindset of, you know, okay, I have to deal with what I have to deal with because there's always going to be somebody that's worse off, is one of the things that helped me keep going. But it wasn't necessarily the healthiest of mindsets either, because I was still in the negative thought process.
Yeah, I was there too.
But the point came where I was saying to myself, I don't know what else to do. You know, I was in a situation where I knew that I had to do better in some way that's significant enough to where I can at least take some pressure off of people around me. And because I said, if I'm going to be here, I need to be a part of this, you know, society. I need to, you know, participate in some way, shape, or form, you know, to the best of my ability, instead of being as selfish as I felt like I've been.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was being extremely selfish.
Yeah.
You know, even though you know, a lot of people who know me, they say that I'm like not selfish at all.
Yeah.
And I need to be, you know, be selfish, but I didn't feel that way.
That's funny. I got something to add to that when
Go
you
ahead.
get a chance.
Add it. 'Cause,
well, around the time when I gave myself to Christ, I had discovered something with day trading. You guys know this already. For years, I felt the same. You know, I've been times where I wanted to end it too, because I had exhausted everything. So I thought, you know, I was running away from my calling, you know, what I knew all along, but I just didn't want to believe it, because in my headspace is the initial thought about something, if it doesn't come easy to me, it's not for me, because I didn't want to put no work in to anything. I wanted everything to come like this.
Right.
But I had to learn that you learn from the mistakes you have, you know? And I was just in the headspace of, well, let me just skip step A and get all the way to Z. But you got to go through the alphabet. You got to go through the things to learn to not make them again. And it's going to help you grow every time, you know, as you're going on your journey.
Correct.
Well, I found trading. I said, man, I'm getting some type of traction with it. I'm getting it somewhat. It's easy, right? So I'm spending thousands and thousands of dollars day in, day out. I asked my family, they'll tell you. And I had finally felt like I hit the jackpot, right? I'm making good money, I'm seeing the return and stuff like that. And then I just have this one brick wall that I can't get over, right? And I'm just sitting and I'm just like, why does this keep happening to me? I cannot pass this brick wall. Well, I sit down and I called one of my relatives, my aunt, you know, and I was talking to her. And I was like, Auntie, I'm praying to God, you know, like, why does this keep happening? Well, she told me this saying right here, and I will never forget this until the day I die. We serve a selfish God. You get what I'm saying? Not selfish as in meaning it.
Well, to add to that right there, it is in the Bible, you can't serve
two masters. Yeah, but I wanted to, you know, phrase it where it don't sound like, you know what I'm saying? He cares for us. And he knows best for us. And he knew that I have a voice. You know, everyone has a voice. And he knew that my calling was to encourage people and to bring the sides out that they're scared of. You know what I'm saying? Look at me. You know, most people look at me, I got one ear. That was one thing I used to hide all the time too. You know, he wanted me to embrace my struggles and embrace people and uplift people. And for a long time, I was like, man, that's not my job. That's something they just got to go out here in the world and figure that out on their own. That's being selfish, you know? And it doesn't hurt to give a couple of encouraging words to somebody. You don't know just a good morning, how you doing, thank you, et cetera, et cetera.
It could make or break somebody.
How far it'll take them.
Sometimes people are that close to the edge.
Yeah.
That just a simple smile would make their day and be like, you know, let me step back from that
That's
edge.
why I'm filming, you know? It's just, it's been a blessing to be able to sit with like-minded individuals to actually talk about things. And you've been through a lot in your life. from what you tell me. And I've been through a certain amount of things in my life, and it's good that we can get on here and we can reach other people. There's people sitting at home right now watching this, and it's like, wow, man, like these two guys, they're really letting me break through these barriers to really explore what God has for me, and just letting me know that I can do anything. You know, you can do anything through Christ that strengthens you. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, it's beautiful. But I give you the floor again. I'm sorry. I'm just rumbling on sometimes.
So it's always good to talk, to express.
Yeah.
You know, to express these kind of thoughts.
Yeah.
Because especially like I said before, this with the so many differences, there are also so many similarities, right? But as far as the situation that changed, you know, all it took was for me to one of the last times, because I'll be honest with everybody, I haven't been to church in a while.
Hey.
I'm not in.
No, as long as you have a relationship with him, that's all that matters.
For me, it's because I mean I was born and raised in Catholic school. You know, all my life, Catholic school. Went to church. Last time I went to church was in December, but that was because I was out with my parents. I wanted to, you know, spend time with them and, you know, go to church with them and those things, right? And they don't live here, so I got to go visit them. And so that's when I went. But on the average, I would say the last time I actually went to church like on a consistent basis was about 10, 15 years ago. Well, about 10 years ago, I should say, 10, 11 years ago. And what happened around that time was I was looking for that outlet. And I've always had a challenge when it came to progressing in school and education and such. So I don't have diplomas. I don't have any of those things. I don't read that often, you know, not whole books and such. But the ironic thing about it is I am a writer, but I don't think I've ever passed English class or literature class or anything of that nature. So it's odd, but it's odd in the sense of my educational background. But again, I also understand that that's how it was made. You know, and I learned how much it was a gift by what I wrote and who read it. You know, and the feedback that I was getting based off of that. But at the time when I was, not to say at my lowest, but I was at a very low point, which seemed to be, to me in my mind, it was consistent, even though I didn't show it. I went to church. I was sitting outside because at that time I spent more time outside of the building than going inside, and I would sit in the car and I'd wait till my mother gets out of church. But at that time, I just, you know, threw out another prayer. And I needed a change.
If you don't mind, you know what the prayer was you called it?
No, it was a conversation.
Okay.
It was just a conversation.
I understand.
It was no specific words. It was a while ago anyway, and I don't really remember what I said. But the gist of it is that I need a change. And usually with everything I say whenever I throw out a prayer or I have a conversation is if it's meant to be, let it be, you know, and you know, if it's meant to be, if it's for me, then I will accept it. And a week later, because I was job hunting and I was failing at it. Now I don't think I was specific about looking for a job, but I just needed something positive to happen, you know. So at that time I just said, let me just pray for something, pray for something good, pray for something positive. I was in I think I passed the time when I used to bargain a lot, because, you know, people would sit there and say, hey, God, if you let me do this, or, you know, I swear I'm gonna do this, and it's, you know, that all that bargaining and stuff it's kind of selfish, unnecessary, and I guess ineffective. But of course, that's my opinion on that. But when a week after I made that prayer, I had that conversation, was a lady at work saw me one day. I was still frustrated about the situation. I have a thing where when I'm in deep thought, I'm solid face, I'm zoned out, even though I'm functioning, I'm on autopilot. And I'm working, and a lady comes and asks me what's wrong, what's the problem? You know, what's going on? I said, nothing, I've just been trying to find a new job. And, you know, I need to make some more money so I can take care of some things, you know, and trying to help my mother out, trying to help my father out, you know, trying to help my brothers out, you know, and trying to help the family. That's when she says, hey, go apply at this job.
Amen.
I went and I applied.
Amen.
A week, 2-3 weeks after that, this is where you'll get flooded with blessings without knowing or, you know, without understanding. And at the time, you know, I'm not really putting 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, because
I put 2 and 2 together, but I didn't think things were going to go at the level it was going. A couple weeks later, another lady at the same job that I had was telling me about another job. Basically, technically, I ended up with 5 jobs.
Wow, amen.
Because I was still part-time at a mechanic shop. I was part-time at a body shop. Wasn't really making no money at those places, but you know, I like cars, so anything to be around cars for me. Which wasn't necessarily the best move, because it also helped lead me where I'm at now on the negative side. But the positive moves were, I picked up this job at a mattress factory. That was the first one. And then I started working a job at a postal mail processing service. You know, it's just like across the street from the post office warehouse. I'm sitting there processing postal mail that's going to go on an airplane to go to Memphis.
Okay.
And then what else? It was the other job I had. I was still at the nursing home job that I had. So that's 3 jobs. And then, I don't know, the candidate shop, that place, the nursing home job. Oh, and then I was working Costco shortly after.
That's what's up.
So that's 6 jobs.
Wow.
So,
6.
but I only kept them for.
I cried only having 2.
Well, yeah, it all, you know, I mean, that was for like about a couple of weeks. I had all those before I started dropping them, because once scheduling got set, I knew what jobs I couldn't keep. But it's not every day you got people that get that many opportunities. You know what I mean? Granted that 2 of them weren't necessarily money opportunities, but they were very educational, considering I still practice a lot of these things now. And that knowledge I take with me, and I can still make money off it. You know, I can still, you know, eat off of that. If I really, especially now at this moment, if I really had to just do that, I would be doing that, and I'd be doing okay. Now, that was one pivotal moment, you know, where I was really like, I'm done. And I said, I'm done, but I have to try.
Yeah.
You know, I still have to try. I made the decision when I had that moment of prayer. I said, I made that decision to stop thinking and moving so negatively. That these were the results, the immediate results. I would say immediate, even though like it's not, you know, from this minute I just made, you know, get the phone call, whatever. It was over time, but that was a very fast result, considering, you know, how long a lot of people's prayers or a lot of people's, you know, how long it takes. And I was ready for it. but I wasn't ready for it. Like, you know, it's like, oh snap, there's more, more, and there's more. And
See, that's the thing with God. He's going to give you that blessing,
Right.
And He's going to just have you, well, like things are just going to be happening so quick. But look, that just goes to show how when He sees you and you pray and you really mean what you're, you know, praying about, how He's going to show up and show out for you every time. You know?
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. That's real beautiful. Man.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And
Yeah.
but again, this stress.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of stress up
Yeah.
to that point. You know,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
you know, trying to figure out where do I fit in, and understanding there are sometimes, right? Sometimes you're the puzzle piece, right? Sometimes you're the puzzle. Sometimes you're the frame.
Oh, man, preach. Okay.
You know, so it's up to you to know what you are when that time comes.
Wow.
You know, at some point there are signs everywhere. So it's understanding that your current situation is a result of your past thoughts and actions. So dealing with the things that you have to deal with in life, I've understood that because everybody has a challenge. Everybody's gotten some kind of challenge, and you can't necessarily cower away from it. There are ways to handle it. There are ways to move. But just because you run doesn't mean you're running away from or towards anything in particular. You do have to reset at a moment, you know, and that takes many different shapes. So when you're boxing, for example, you're going for a jab and then you reset. You reset for your, you know,
Yeah.
you got your
stance
guard
back.
up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got your stance up, you got your guard up. You also got to make sure you protect while you're jabbing. You know what I'm saying? So, but you're always going to reset at some point. And some could see that in some way that's a retreat, because you could just continue to throw out numerous jabs, but that's going to leave you wide open for body shots. You know, and if you don't have the opening and you're continuously jabbing, eventually the person on the other end is going to see, and they're going to count, and they're going to calculate, and then boom, rib shot, liver shot, something along those lines, and then you're done. You know what I mean? But you keep your guard up, you know, but you're going to have to reset to protect your body. You know, you're going to have to take that step back at some point, reassess the situation, and try to find a different angle. Now, sometimes it is a situation where once you walk away, you don't have to go back. But then there's situations where you walking away is specifically, that moment is specifically designed for you to get a better angle and walk back. You know, every play is not going to work when you're on the field or on the court. You know, it's not. You always got to sit there and reset. When you're playing football, you got to gain some yards, so you got to find a way to get that touchdown. You know, so sometimes you get pushed back. You'll lose a couple, feet, a couple of yards here or there. You know, you'll lose something, but you got to find some way to get to your receivers, and or you got to run the ball yourself if you have to.
Sir.
You know, and at that point, your determination, the effort you're going to put in, will help you overcome that negative situation, overcome that obstacle, but in the process, of course, also, you got to take other situations as your practice, as your sparring, as your whatever, until to prepare yourself, to temper yourself, until you get, so that way you can handle whatever you got coming.
Gotcha. Amen.
So
Yeah.
there's so much that, so many ways you can look at it. You got people at work that don't like their job, and they don't want to follow certain steps to better themselves, for example. And even though they have no ambitions or no goals or whatever the case is at the moment, at some time they did. Or they may in the future once they see something new or learn something new. So like today you could be the laziest person in the world, and then all of a sudden you hear something on the radio, see something on TV or on your phone, or or you're out and you notice something, you like, you know what, I want that, or I want to be in this place, or I want to do this, or I want to go here, or whatever the case is. And now your mind is going to start wondering, okay, well, what can I do to get there?
Yeah.
Now, some people will take a negative route, to achieve that goal, and some people, a lot of people will take the positive route,
To achieve the goal. Yeah.
And to achieve a goal, some people would rob and steal, for example. They'll do those things, and then they'll get what they want. It's temporary happiness, right?
Yeah.
Now the consequences of their actions, that's something that some people don't think about.
Yeah.
And there are good consequences and bad consequences. But once you hear the word consequence, you automatically assume negative, right? So negative consequence of robbing and stealing is jail time, or retaliation from somebody might end your life. Over whatever you did. But a positive consequence, for example, if you're if say you decide to work for it, put in extra hours or get another job or whatever the case is, positive consequence of your hard work is you get what you're looking for. When you go to practice all the time, or when you're sitting there sparring enough, or you hit the gym or whatever the case is, now you're better than you were yesterday. So, or even in cases like education wise, if you read more, you know what I mean, or something along those lines, people know these things already. So people notice a lot of the things that I'm saying. Some people need to hear it. Some people, so it's good to talk about these things. But there's sayings that I hear, and I always aim to best explain it as much as possible, the best that I can. And there's sayings that are obvious. Be true to yourself. And as long as you're honest with yourself, and you don't have to worry about much, because if you know you're not a nice person, you can understand why people give you dirty looks. People that you encounter, treat you the way they treat you. If you want to be treated better and you understand how you treat others, it's that reflection. That's where that karma comes into play. The energy that you're putting out, the actions that you take, the reaction is what you get. So somebody comes in and start giving you an attitude or whatever the case is, or you find yourself in one of those situations where things aren't going your way, and you react negatively towards it the entire time, and you don't put a positive foot forward, or you don't take that step back to reassess, and understand, okay, this is what I was doing, and these were the results. Well, let me change a little bit. Let me make a difference, in my moves to aim for a better result. Because there's also that saying, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, is a definition of insanity. So one of the things is I try to tell people is like, there's a lot of ways that the Bible has been broken down, lots of ways, but we can take the essentials and try to do the best that we can with it, right? So some of these sayings can still be translated and related to what's in the Bible. But yeah, so it's a faith thing, it's a belief thing, and you can be vocal about it, you could not be vocal about it, as long as you know within, you know what I mean, you understand on the inside what's going on, and you make that connection with God yourself, you're good, because it also says in the Bible, we're made in God's image and likeness. Right? Also tells you to treat others as you want to be treated, right? So if you're treating your neighbor who's also made in God's image and likeness, if you're treating your neighbor well, you're treating God well, you're treating yourself well.
Amen. Yeah. We're all God's children. Yeah.
So and the opposite is true. At the end of the day, you have to have self-respect, and your self-respect has to translate into how you treat other people. And you treat other people with respect because you respect yourself. But if you don't respect yourself, then you're going to easily disrespect the next person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, we're almost out of time.
Yeah.
I wanted to leave y'all with some encouraging words today. One thing that helps me through my days when I'm stressing, because I'm not perfect. Even though I found God and He's really shaping me into the person He wants me to be, I still go through stuff. So I don't ever want y'all to think from my content that I post or my uplifting spirit that I don't have bad days. But one thing that I remember, and one thing that resonates with me so much is 2 words. God tells us, not yet, or I have better. And to always keep faith, Those are some of the things that I tell myself on a daily basis, or even through the days, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are some of the things that I tell myself due to the fact that it's coming from where I was and where I am now. This is all thanks to God. I don't give myself no credit. Well, Martin, you got any encouraging words for them that they can carry on from this video?
Try more introspection. I would say try more introspection, dig deep. When you meditate, when you pray, when you have a moment of silence and you're just sitting with your thoughts, think about what you've done, think of how you can be better. Because I say this to a lot of people, I like to add on to some sayings sometimes, I readjust them. And one of them is tomorrow's never promised. And my addition to that is, but when it comes, will you be ready? So, understanding yourself, understanding the creation that God made will help you become a better you. You have the potential to be the best person that you can be. And if you're not there yet, I don't think anybody's there yet, but the journey to get there is very important. The destination is not so important, but the journey is very important.
Amen.
Because once you get there, you're golden.
Amen.
But it takes time, and every day is a learning experience. We'll never know everything and anything and still be here. So the entire time you're here, you have to be learning something, and it's not always going to be a pleasant experience. A lot of times you learn the most and you grow the most through the negative experiences.
Amen.
Just think about it also in the sense of, I was explaining this to somebody a while ago. Actually, I wrote about it. You look at the ground, and now you disturb that ground on a microscopic level. You're creating mass destruction to plant a seed. In the Bible, they talk about a mustard seed, right?
Faith is, it's small as mustard seed.
Right. You plant that little seed, and then you create more destruction to cover that seed. But you water it. Destruction. Right? As it starts to grow, the roots create destruction to spread and push apart. All that to grow a mustard tree. Something that's beautiful. So a lot of times beauty does come out of destruction, but the level of destruction will determine how negative it is or how positive it is or how you accept it. How is it, do you understand, okay, this was necessary? I went through what I went through. You went through what you went through. People go through what they go through to become who they are today. But is that who you want to be tomorrow? Is this the best? Because if you're saying that this is the best, and you're saying you have no room to grow, then you're lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Because God got more.
Always, yeah. You could be here today and then life just flip. And it's beautiful how He do that.
We just lost 3 people this week.
Yeah.
Last week, I should say.
Yeah.
3 people last week.
Yeah.
And 2 of them were to old age. Yeah, two of them
One drowned.
because they were old.
Yeah.
Obviously, Hulk Hogan, Ozzy Osbourne, and then Malcolm Jamal Warner. Malcolm Jamal Warner pretty much died to save his daughter's life on vacation. You know, out on vacation, and it's just those things that happen. Those, you know, people die every day. Yes, you know, children are born every day. But these things are reminders of I would say the value of life to a degree because of that. You know, we're here today, we'll be gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's when you understand, when you grasp that for as strong as you are, life is still fragile. When you grasp that concept, it could either change your tone for the better or the worse. So if you can become a pessimistic individual like I used to be, or you can be proactive in being better, as optimistic as you can be. You know, just the idea in life is to do better, to grow and do better. So,
yeah. Well, about time's up.
Yep.
I just want to let you guys know to never lose faith. Keep God first. Keep Him at the center of every decision you make in your life. And just watch Him work, watch Him cook. I love you. Martini love y'all. And we'll see y'all.